Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining. Hello. Thanks so much for joining tonight. I wanted to talk about the immigration bill that got sent to the Senate tonight. Hello. So for those of you that are new to following me or joining my live, my name is Bianca Jordan. I am an immigration lawyer in Massachusetts. I've been handling immigration cases for about 10 years now. I am the CEO of Brazen Legal, which is my immigration law firm. And I primarily help people get green cards, citizenship. I sometimes do asylum, not so much. The majority of cases I do are green cards and citizenship cases. I also do deportation defense, and I help people with DACA, temporary protected status, a variety of different immigration things. So like you, or like me, you guys are probably very, very excited that we have a new administration coming in. I am excited about having a president that is a decent human being, that is very pro-immigrant, pro-people, pro-kindness. Ask any immigration attorney. The past 4 years has been very difficult for us. It's been it's a lot. It's been very challenging for us, but also very challenging for our clients. Immigrants in the United States the past 4 years have had a very difficult time. They've been living in fear, constant deportation, and then, things like the public charge rule that have been changing constantly back and forth. So it's been a very tough 4 years. So I'm very hopeful and happy that we have a new president coming in. Yes, definitely. It's been a hellhole, to say the least. It's been a cluster, definitely. It's been really tough. But, hope is on the horizon. It was definitely torture. Definitely, yes. You guys are being kind. I would say it's definitely been a cluster. I'll try not to cuss today. Anybody who knows me knows that I cuss a lot. I'm going to try not to on this live in case I decide to save it or whatever. As I'm talking about the immigration bill, please feel free to ask questions if you'd like. I think the question box feature is here, but if you want to also drop them in the comments, it's fine as well. So over the past couple months, there've been a lot of immigration changes, a lot of speculation as to what Biden would be doing as far as his immigration policy is concerned. A couple months ago, I did a video just talking about all of the things he wants to do, from asylum reform to like deportation help and things like that. So definitely hit that up. Today's video is only going to be talking about the immigration bill that he sent to Congress today. If you have any questions about that or any other immigration things, definitely feel free to drop them in the comments. If you know anybody that is curious about this bill, definitely feel free to tag them, all that good stuff. So I'll get right into it. So President Biden, I even love how that sounds, like President Biden. Earlier today, obviously he became our president, and he said that he wanted to get right to work, and he definitely did just that. He issued a lot of executive orders, pretty much reversing a lot of the things that Trump did. One of them was the Muslim ban. So the Muslim ban is going away, thank God. So happy for that. That was ridiculousness that we even had a Muslim ban in the first place. A country that prides itself so much on the First Amendment is going to discriminate against immigrants based on their religion. It's ridiculous, but I'm happy that that's going away. He also wants the Department of Homeland Security to do everything in their power to make sure that we are preserving and protecting DACA, so that people that have DACA can continue to have DACA and continue to have that protection. So I'm going to go through the immigration bill, and then again, if you have questions, definitely feel free to drop them in. So let's go. So first of all, the immigration bill is called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, and it's basically just trying to reform our immigration laws. Our immigration system has been a mess for quite some time, and we never really had anybody to really fix it. Obama came in with a variety of things he wanted to do in immigration, but We had Mitch McConnell, who said that he was going to do everything in his power to make sure that Obama got nothing done. And he saw to it that that happened. The difference between Obama's list of things he wanted to do in immigration and Biden's is that Biden actually has a chance. We have this, we have the Senate. You know, Democrats are controlling the Senate. They actually do. You know, Biden has a chance to actually make this happen this time around. And if not, he does also have the power of the executive order. But we're hoping that because of all of the senators that, you know, we have control of the Senate, we're hoping that we'll be able to just pass some laws and change this stuff. So here goes. All right, so the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021 is what the bill is called, got sent up today. It's not a law yet, so it has to be voted on. Congress has to vote on it and approve it and all that stuff. So this is just what the bill wants to do. So again, this isn't permanent yet. It hasn't gone into effect yet, but if it does, this is what it could look like. So the first thing is it is creating a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. And what it'll do is it'll give immigrants a temporary legal status, and then they'll be able to apply for a green card after 5 years. And then if they're able to pass like criminal security checks, things like that. So as long as you don't have any serious criminal convictions, you're not like a terrorist or anything like that, you're not a national security threat, then you'd be able to get a green card. And as long as you pay your taxes and child support and things like that, then you should be able to get a green card after that 5-year temporary period. And then people that have DACA, people that have temporary protected status, so TPS, and also immigrant farm workers who meet certain requirements, which we don't know yet, you'll also be eligible for a green card immediately once the law goes into effect. Hopefully this passes through and you guys are able to get that legal status. After 3 years, so after you've had your green card for 3 years, then you would be able to become a citizen as long as you pass like an English test and like background checks, things like that. And as of right now, people that would be eligible for these immigration benefits must have been in the United States as of January 1st, 2021. You had to have been physically present in the United States as of 2021. There may be some exceptions for people that were deported between like 2017 and present day, but again, this is just what the bill will be. This isn't law yet. The bill also wants to keep families together, and one of the things it wants to do is get rid of the 3 and 10 year bar. So for those that don't know, in our immigration laws, we have a 3 and 10 year bar. So what this means is for people that are in the country undocumented, or let's say you came to the country legally with a visa and then you overstay your visa. Let's say you overstay your visa by more than 6 months, but less than a year. If ever you leave the United States, you can't come back for 3 years. Similarly, if you overstay your visa or if you're in the country undocumented for more than a year, if ever you leave the US, you can't come back for 10 years. So that's the 3 and 10 year bar. There are waivers for this, but not everybody qualifies for the waivers. So this bill would get rid of that completely. So we wouldn't have that as a bar, because it does end up keeping families apart. Because if you can't come back to the US for 3 or 10 years, then you're separated from your family, and that's really not okay. The bill would also create a no ban act within the law, and that would keep any other president from being able to implement a Muslim ban or like a Catholic ban or any type of ban. So if ever we got, another president that was as racist or worse than Donald Trump, wouldn't be able to put out another Muslim ban or something like that. So that's really good. It's also going to help refugees integrate more into American society. So providing like resources for them to learn how to speak English, to just really assimilate in the United States. This bill is also going to reduce the wait times for case processing, which the past couple of years has been really bad, but 2020 in particular, because of COVID, was really, really bad. So this bill would kind of reduce those wait times, and it would also get rid of per country visa caps. So for example, when you're thinking about a green card, for example, people from certain countries have a longer wait. So people from India, China, Mexico, they tend to have a longer wait. So for example, Let's say a brother or sister from Haiti might be waiting 14 years to get their green card. Somebody from Mexico is waiting like 27 years. So this bill would get rid of that. It would also protect workers who are being exploited by their companies. Maybe, for example, you're working for a company that is threatening to deport you if you kind of try to report them or call them out on abusing you and things like that. This bill would also kind of make the border controls a little bit better, a little bit more tech friendly, so that we're not having the wall. And that's also one thing that Biden signed today. One of the executive orders he signed today was to immediately stop building the wall and funding the wall. So this bill would implement more technology so that people at the border, people working at the border would have better means for controlling people that come in and out and just making sure that our borders are still secure. Because a common misconception about immigration is that immigrants are just flooding the border, coming in through Mexico, and that's not really happening. Illegal immigration into the United States has gone down even before Trump was president, and it definitely went down while he was president. And also, we have a border up north, Canada. People sneak in through Canada as well. So it's not just brown immigrants coming in through Mexico, it's also white immigrants coming in through Canada, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. And then another thing that this bill is going to do, which I actually like, I don't know exactly how they're going to make it happen, but they're calling it Start from the Source. And what they're going to do is really look at these countries that have a lot of migrants coming up to see why they're coming up. What is the source of that migration that everybody wants to come to the United States? And if there's anything that they can do to kind of help the countries out a little bit, then they'll do that. So I'll be curious to see how that works, because historically the United States has had a tendency of meddling in other countries' affairs and then messing up those countries. And then when those citizens want to come here for asylum or as refugees, we say no. But if we didn't mess up their countries in the first place, then they wouldn't need to come here. Again, conversation for another day. Another thing that this bill is going to do, it's going to reduce the immigration court backlogs, which is great because we've got over 1 million immigration cases pending. And depending on what your situation is, that might be a good wait if you don't have another immigration benefit or a defense of deportation. It might actually serve you better to wait it out to see if there's some type of immigration benefit that comes along that you can benefit from. But for people who actually have a genuine case, they don't have any other benefits, they qualify for something now, like people that have been waiting to apply for asylum or a green card, having to wait longer or having your case pushed back is just torture because you've already been waiting long enough. I know some of my cases are pushed out to 2022, 2023. I know some attorneys whose cases are pushed out till 2024, 2025. So it's just a mess. Our immigration system is a total mess. And to be fair, Trump didn't ruin it. He was just taking advantage of a broken system. But I'm hopeful that some of these changes will start to fix some of those things so that the system can't be exploited like this in the future. The bill is also going to support asylum seekers and other vulnerable populations. So for example, people that are applying for a green card through VAWA, which is the Violence Against Women Act. And that is also available for men as well. So if you are in an abusive relationship, marriage, you're married to a US citizen or a green card holder, and you can prove that most of the abuse that you suffered occurred in the United States, you might be able to apply for a green card on your own. So this bill will kind of help people in that category. So that's pretty much all we know about the bill so far. Again, hasn't gone through yet. This is just what they want to have happen. I'm hopeful that this will happen. Again, we've got the numbers in the Senate. It's just a matter of, will the Republicans come over? We need 10 Republicans to sign on this to this bill. So fingers crossed. When I woke up this morning, I had heard that Republicans were trying to preemptively block any of his bills and not executive orders, but mostly his bills and things like that. And because of everything that this bill stands for, this bill is basically trying to give legal status to over 11 million people. So this isn't going to be an easy fight, even though the Democrats control the Senate right now. It's still not going to be an easy feat. I'm hopeful that we can get at least 10 Republicans to sign on to this, and then it can become law and we can help so many immigrants in this country. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that, I'm hopeful that it'll go through, but you never know. So if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them. Also, in case anybody missed it, as a parting gift, I guess he decided to do one good thing on his way out. Trump gave delayed enforced departure to Venezuelans. So if you are Venezuelan and you have been in the United States as of today, then you can apply for delayed enforced departure, which is an immigration benefit. It's kind of like TPS. It's like TPS-ish, especially because there are countries that had TPS that then go to delayed enforced departure. So they're kind of similar. Delayed enforced departure, or DED for short, is a temporary immigration benefit, much like TPS, and it enables you to have protection from deportation as well as a work card for a certain period of time. So before Trump left, he put this into place for Venezuelans. So Venezuelans will be able to have protection from deportation for 18 months, and they'll be able to get work cards as well. TBD on when applications for that will start to be accepted, but that will be a process that you'd apply through USCIS. So let's see if I have any questions. How do you think it will work for TPS? So under this bill, how it would work is people that have TPS would automatically get a green card. Other than that, if this bill weren't to go through, the Supreme Court is actually in the process of hearing a case about temporary protected status. And the case is specifically whether temporary protected status counts as an admission into the United States, such that if you have TPS in the US, you can get your green card here. Because typically, in order to get a green card in the United States, you have to have come here legally, and you have to have been an immediate relative, which means that the person petitioning for you to get a green card is a US citizen, and they're either your spouse, your parent, or they are your child if they're 21 years old or over. And that's typically the only way you can get a green card in the US, unless you qualify for another program such as VAWA or the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program or something like that, or asylum, something like that. So this Supreme Court case is going to decide whether simply having TPS counts as an admission. So meaning for people that came to the country undocumented and then they got TPS, can you still get a green card? Does it count as an admission such that you can get a green card? Especially people that never traveled on advanced parole. This is really who that case is focusing on. People who came to the US undocumented and then maybe they got TPS, but they never traveled on advanced parole. Maybe they were scared, maybe they didn't want to go back home, whatever the reason was. And they should be able to get a green card. There are, I think, like 20-ish states right now that allow you to get a green card if you have TPS. Even if you came here undocumented, they allow you to get a green card here. States like Tennessee, there's like a whole list of them. So if the Supreme Court sides with us and says yes, then if you live in the US with TPS, whether you came here undocumented or not, you can adjust your status to get your green card here. So that's another option for TPS. And then TPS for certain countries like Haiti, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Sudan, and I'm missing one. But their TPS ends on October 4th. So still a lot of options. With this bill, would those with TPS have to pay for the green card? Probably, but we don't really know. But I assume yes. I don't know any programs other than like VAWA that like programs that rely on like you are a victim of something or like some type of humanitarian program. Unless it's that, you typically do have to apply for a green card. So I don't have those details yet, but I think you would be able to, or I think you would have to pay for your green card. Do I know the states? Not off the top of my head, but I know that I posted about them. Actually, I wonder if it'll let me. I was gonna look on my Instagram profile and see, but I'd have to scroll back. I know that I did a post, I think back in September. So like if you scroll through my timeline, there's like a post about TPS, and I list like all of the states, but it's a long list of states. See if anyone dropped any questions in the comments. And if you guys have any questions on like anything immigration or whatever, definitely feel free to let me know. I'm pretty much an open book about this stuff. I don't hop on lives too often. I've been trying to hop on live on TikTok a little bit more, although those haven't been in English, but and I tried to go on live on Facebook today, figured I could try to do both at the same time, but Facebook was like, nah. So I'm just doing Instagram. Let's see, we've been married 19 years. My husband has TPS, never traveled, married 19 years to a U.S. citizen. Okay, I don't, if you have a question, you can ask this. I don't really know how you want me to answer that. Let's see. Hey, Patricia. Let's see. What other questions do you guys have? Let's see. So if the Supreme Court sides with us, TPS holders will just apply for green cards. No. So the cases at the Supreme Court is just to decide whether people who have temporary protected status, whether they can get it, whether that status by itself counts as an admission, which would mean that they would be able to apply for a green card if they qualify. So in this case, so for example, let's say you have TPS, you came to the US undocumented, you have temporary protected status, now you're married to a US citizen and you want to adjust your status because you are an immediate relative. You wouldn't be able to because you came to the country undocumented. The only way that you would be able to get your green card here is if once you got temporary protected status, you traveled like back to your home country on advanced parole. And then when you come back on advanced parole, as long as you came back before August 20th, 2020, then that would count as an admission that would then enable you to get your green card in the US. So that's what this case is mostly focusing on, but you can't apply by yourself. So if you don't have like a husband or wife or parent or US citizen child over the age of 21 or some other qualifying thing, then you can't just apply for a green card on your own. So if we have TPS and we live in California, can we apply for a green card or should we wait? I mean, if you have TPS, I think California is one of the states. Again, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think California is though. So if you have temporary protected status and you qualify for a green card now, then I would just go ahead and apply for the green card now. Because again, this is just a bill, which means that it's not a law yet. It hasn't passed. Congress hasn't passed it yet. This is just something that Biden sent today. He officially sent in his immigration bill. And once the House and Senate vote on it, it'll become law, hopefully. Like I said, we need like 10 Republicans to sign off on this. So fingers crossed. I'm going to be saying all the prayers to Black Jesus everywhere and just hoping that this goes through. So if you qualify for an immigration benefit now, I mean, you can go ahead and apply. So if you are married to someone or you have someone who can petition for you and you qualify now, I would just go ahead and apply now. How much do you charge to simply review an application? So I do everything. It's either I do everything for you or not at all. I don't do like piecemeal things because I found that in the past when I've done that, I can review your application and tell you it's all good, but I have no control over what you might add or remove after the fact. And then I've had people, I've done that like early on in my career where people just pay me to look at their application. I tell them this is how you send it in, this is what you need. They don't do it. And then they get mad at me if their application is denied, but it's because you didn't listen to me. So I don't do that anymore. It's either I do it or I don't. Let's see. If you're a student who's a person of color, can you get papers for college? So you can apply for a student visa. I don't do student visas, but typically if you're going to apply for a student visa, first you got to get into a college or high school or whatever, and then you pretty much work with the school. You work with their um, designated school officer, and they pretty much walk you through the process of like filling out the I-20 and doing all of that stuff. So it is possible that you can get a student visa, and then depending on your program, you might be able to get something called OPT, which, if I remember correctly, is optional practical training, which basically enables you to work in the field that you're going to school for. And then depending on that employer, if they like you enough, they can maybe petition for you to get an H-1B visa, which is an employment visa that is usually good for 3 years at a time. You can renew it one time, so 6 years maximum. And then if that company wants you beyond that 6 years, then they have to apply for a green card for you. Let's see, what other questions? Does advanced parole still work? It depends. So first, it depends on if you're like what you're trying to travel on. If you are traveling on advanced parole because you have a pending green card application, then yes. If you're traveling on advanced parole because you have DACA, then yes. If you are traveling on advanced parole because you have temporary protected status, it depends on what you're trying to use it for. If you're just trying to use it to go out to like see somebody, like see family back home or something like that, then yes. If you don't care about it counting as an admission that would then allow you to adjust your status and get a green card here, then yeah, it's fine. But if you're trying to travel on advanced parole because you have temporary protected status and you need that lawful admission, it's not going to count right now because there was a court case back in August, on August 20th of 2020, that basically said that in order to use your advanced parole as an admission, you had to have traveled back to the U.S. Before August 20th, 2020. What other questions do you guys have? Make sure I didn't miss any. And when I'm on TikTok, my comments scroll really, really fast. Your husband has TPS and he's married to a U.S. citizen. So if your husband has TPS and he's married to a U.S. citizen, he might be able to adjust the status. It really just depends on, did he come here lawfully? Does he have any issues? For example, a common issue that I see a lot is people that have ever been in immigration court. And this could be that you were in immigration court and you were deported, or just you were in immigration court, period. Like you were in immigration court because, I don't know, you applied for asylum and they denied it and sent you to immigration court. Or you applied for asylum, they didn't deny it, but they sent you to immigration court. If ever you've been in immigration court, USCIS will no longer have jurisdiction to give you that green card. So something that I see that happens a lot is people are in immigration court for whatever reason, and then they marry a U.S. citizen, and they figure they can just apply for a green card, send it to USCIS, and have a nice life. And USCIS will deny that application and say that they don't have jurisdiction. Pre-Trump, I've had cases where we would apply to USCIS for the green card. They would approve the green card, send a letter and everything, but at the bottom of the letter, it would say CC Department of Homeland Security, because in that case, at least in one particular case that I can think of, my client was ordered deported, but he never left. And then he met a U.S. citizen, fell in love, got married. They applied for the green card. USCIS approved the I-130 and the 485, but they sent the approval to the Department of Homeland Security because he had been ordered deported. So he had two conflicting things. He had the Department of Homeland Security that was trying to kick him out, and then he had USCIS that was trying to give him a green card. So he had two competing things. So he had to go back to court because USCIS didn't have the jurisdiction to give the green card. And they don't give you your money back. So I've seen people all the time, they will apply for a green card on their own to USCIS, and USCIS is pretty much like, thanks for the money, we're denying your application, have a nice life. And then they got to hire a lawyer to go back to court because only the court can give you the green card in that case. So if your husband is, has TPS and he's married to a U.S. citizen, As long as he doesn't have any issues like that, like he's on an immigration court, wasn't ever deported, wasn't ever in court, doesn't have any like major criminal convictions, doesn't have any like fraud things that would require a waiver, then he can apply for adjustment of status. Any new waivers for those who have been deported or incarcerated in immigration? No new ones. No new waivers that I can think of. There are waivers for, so it depends. So like if you've been deported and you actually leave the country, then you just can't come back for 10 years, depending on why you were deported. Let's say you were deported simply because you came here, you came into the US with a visitor's visa and then you overstayed and you ended up in removal. You don't have any criminal things or anything. Once you leave the US for 10 years, you can just come back. You don't typically need like a waiver or anything as long as you actually spend your 10 years outside of the US. But if you're trying to come back to the US before that 10 years, then you are going to need a waiver. As far as people incarcerated in immigration, again, it just depends on, why you're incarcerated, because there are certain crimes that you can't get a waiver for. So like, for example, if you're convicted of more than 30 grams of marijuana, you can't get a waiver. Not for a green card. You can get a waiver if you just want a visitor's visa, but they do have discretion to deny you. So it just depends on why you were deported and why you're incarcerated. Can you apply for a green card while you have a student visa without sponsorship from an employer? You can. I actually had a case, actually one of the fastest green cards I got for someone was someone who came with a student visa, married a US citizen, and then they just applied for adjustment of status. And I think we got the green card, I think it was like 8 months or so. And they had like nothing together because she wasn't able to work and anything. But yeah, I've had people go from like an F1 visa to a green card. It's usually not an issue. I'm on my process of getting a green card, but I'm on my waivers. I get approved, but my lawyer told me I don't see the whole thing. Let's see. I can't see the whole question. If you don't mind, can you just post it in the comments so that I can see the whole thing? If you are a student, high school, who's eligible for TPS? All right. So temporary protected status is an immigration benefit. It's a temporary immigration benefit given to people who temporarily can't go back to their home country because of things like a civil war or like a pandemic, an epidemic, like Ebola, for example. A lot of African countries had temporary protected status because of Ebola, natural disasters, war, things like that, like a temporary reason, like a hurricane or an earthquake, like Haiti got temporary protected status because of the earthquake. So it's usually for like a temporary reason you can't go back. And then in the meantime, the United States gives you this temporary protected status that enables you to stay in the United States for X amount of time. Usually it's 18 months because that's the max that the law gives you. And then while you're in temporary protected status, you can work. So you get a work card, you get protection from deportation as long as you're not like doing anything like serious, like terrorist things and stuff like that. And then you're also able to get advanced parole to travel. So right now we have like 10 countries that have temporary protected status. So the only way that you could get temporary protected status is you have to be from the country that has it. And then you have to have been here by X amount of time, whatever time is set out by USCIS. So you can't really, depending on, what the country is, you probably won't be able to apply for temporary protected status right now. But there are groups that are working on trying to get temporary protected status for other countries, such as Venezuela, even though we just got DED for Venezuela. There have been a lot of like policy groups trying to get temporary protected status for Venezuela, Guatemala, which I think could actually happen just based on what's going on right now. There are groups that have been advocating for TPS for Mexico, Cameroon, the Bahamas, like a variety of countries. So it could be possible. Let's see. I'm waiting on my waiver to get approved, but my lawyer told me that I'd have to go to Mexico for my interview. Is there any way you can help me get my green card here in the US? You have DACA. So first, lawyers aren't allowed to help people that they know have a lawyer. So the fact that you have a lawyer, it can't really help you unless like you fired your lawyer. But I mean, based on what your lawyer said, I'm thinking that you have DACA, you came here undocumented, and you qualify for a green card through like an immediate relative or something. But because you came here undocumented, you can't get your green card here, which is what the waiver is for. So this, in this particular case, it would be a 601A waiver. And what ends up happening is you get the waiver approved first. So first you get the I-130 approved. So if you are applying through like a parent or spouse or something, you do the I-130 first, get that I-130 approved. Once the I-130 is approved, then you can apply for the waiver, which I think is like taking like a year right now. Everything in immigration is like messed up right now. But let's say like a year, at least. And then once you get the 601A, so while you're applying for the 601A, you're also supposed to be working with the National Visa Center to let them know that you plan on applying for the 601A, because you don't want them to like schedule your interview and then you can't go because you don't have the 601A, because you can't leave until you have the 601A approved, because if you do, you can't come back for 10 years. So you get the 601A approved, and then you take that with you to your interview at the embassy, which in your case would be Mexico. And then because you have that waiver, that's what enables you to come back to the US, because without that waiver, you would go to Mexico, everything would go well, they'd approve your green card, and then you try to come back to the US and they look in the system and they're like, okay, well, you've been here undocumented for X amount of years. You can't come back for 10 years. Have a nice day. So you need that 601A waiver. So unfortunately, as of right now, and again, I don't know your situation. I'm just assuming based on the little bit that you told me that this is probably why you have to get your green card out of the US. But maybe if this bill goes through, maybe there'd be a way for you to get a green card without leaving the US. If I told that I love you, would you tell me that you love me back? No. Let's see, what other questions? Plus my husband's on this live, so no. Biggest mistake people make applying for a K-1 visa. I don't know specifically for a K-1, but I'll share some common mistakes that people make when they're applying for immigration benefits. Number one is not consulting with an attorney. I'm biased, obviously, but if I had $1 for every time I had to fix somebody's case simply because they didn't speak with an attorney first, I would probably be rich by now. And I understand back in the day, so the excuse is usually, well, back in the day it was so easy. My mom got her green card in like 2 months, and my sister's cousin's friend got their green card in like a week and whatever. And maybe that was true back in the day, but these days, not so much. And even though we have a new president, we've got Biden, he's such a nice person, he's a normal, decent human being, things aren't gonna change overnight. Meaning we still have USCIS officers, immigration officers, who have been working in the Trump administration for the past 4 years. So even though we're hopefully gonna go back to like a more efficient USCIS, a more friendly USCIS, these things aren't going to change overnight. So you're still going to have some officers that might be a little, whatever. So I always say just talk to an immigration lawyer just so that you know what's going on, and also just so that you know what your options are as well. I've had people come into my office wanting to get a green card one way, and then I talk them out of it and we get them a green card a different way. So you never know what might be available. Like, for example, I've had clients who wanted to get a green card a different way. So similar to the question I had a little bit earlier about the gentleman that has to get his green card in Mexico, I had a client who their only option to get a green card would have been, or at least that they thought, was to get a green card to leave the country. And I was able to tell them about the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program that enables you to get a green card here. And it's a program specifically for Liberians who used to have TPS, currently have delayed enforced departure, just like Venezuelans. But they were able as a people to just rally together and get their congressman to give them an immigration benefit. And I think in the US, there's only like 3,000 or so Liberians, and they were able to just come together and really push Congress to give them an immigration benefit, and they gave them a green card. So if you're Liberian, or if you're a citizen of Liberia, or a national of Liberia, or a family member of Liberia, so if you're married to a Liberian, or if your dad or mom is a Liberian, you're able to apply for a green card as long as you file your application before December 20th of this year. And all you need is to prove that you're Liberian, so like a passport or birth certificate, and you have to prove that you've been in the United States since at least November 20th, 2014, and just prove it. So things like tax documents, school papers, like your taxes, your like insurance policies, whatever you have to prove that you've been here since at least November 20th, 2014. And that's it. You get a green card. You don't need to petition. You don't need a petitioner, so you don't need an I-130. You don't need an affidavit of support. You're not subject to the public charge rule. So it's pretty much, I'm Liberian, I've been here since 2014, and I can prove it, and here's your green card. It's not that easy. I'm just oversimplifying it. And this also applies whether you have been in immigration court, been deported. Because if you remember earlier in this live, I told you that if you have ever been in immigration court, USCIS can't give you the green card. An exception is the Liberian program. USCIS is the only agency that can give you the green card. So it's helpful and it's worth it to book a consultation with an attorney. Some lawyers charge, others don't. Even if you have to pay for a consultation, just having that peace of mind that you don't see any, just knowing that there are no problems in your case, no pitfalls or anything that are going to trip you up later and cause a huge problem in your case. And also, you might find out that you can get a green card a different way or a faster way than you thought possible. I've had clients, so I had a client recently who I was able to get him citizenship instead of a 10-year green card. And that's something that he wouldn't have known about if he didn't speak with an attorney. So it's always worth it just to talk to someone, because you never know what other options you might have available to you. So that's one mistake that people make. They don't work with a lawyer. And then if they don't work with a lawyer, they work with someone who's not a lawyer, like a tax preparer. I see a lot of people hiring tax preparers or notary publics because they think that they're lawyers, or they think that because they can fill out tax forms, they can fill out immigration forms, but they're not the same form. And every single question on your immigration form has to do with a part of the immigration law. And as we've seen over the past 4 years, it's constantly changing. Literally, I have woken up some mornings and public charge is on. And then by noon, public charge is gone. That literally happened to me one time. On a Monday, I walked in for my client's green card interview and it was on. And then I literally left at noon and it was off again. So the laws are constantly changing. So it's worth it just to speak with an immigration lawyer that knows what they're doing. Make sure they're an immigration lawyer. Grill the hell out of them. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. You need to ask questions too. You need to make sure that the people that you're hiring know what they're doing. You need to make sure that they actually are an attorney. Like for me, I tell people all the time, like I have nothing to hide. I can't bamboozle you. I can't tell you I'm an immigration lawyer if I'm not. I mean, for one, I like to think that I know my shit. Secondly, you can Google me. Like you can literally look me up. You'll see my bar number. You'll see if anyone's ever complained about me. Like you can do research on the people that you're hiring. Ask them how long they have been practicing law. How many years experience do they have? What experience do they have? I'm always an open book. Like if people ask me, like, why should I hire you? And it's like, because I'm really good at what I do. But also, like, you don't have to hire me. Like, I don't really care if people hire me at the end of the day. If you want to hire me, great. I would love to work with you. But if you don't want to hire me, that's also fine, because I realize that I'm not the lawyer for everyone. But make sure that whoever you hire, whether it's me, whether it's another immigration lawyer, make sure they're actually a lawyer. Make sure they're actually an immigration lawyer. I've seen a lot of lawyers the past couple of years wanting to just dabble in immigration law because it's hot and it's constantly changing. But immigration is very stressful. It literally changes. If you don't like areas of law that can constantly change day by day, immigration is not for you. And just because you're a criminal lawyer who's been in court doesn't mean that you'll be able to handle immigration court. So make sure that whoever you hire to handle your immigration case, make sure that first and foremost they're an immigration lawyer. Make sure you like them, and make sure that you can trust them. If you don't get a good vibe from them, then they're not a good lawyer for you. If they can't answer basic questions for you, they're not a good lawyer for you. If they're going to guarantee you that they're going to get you a green card or a work card or whatever in like 4 months, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, unless it's like certain circumstances, run. They're lying to you, because we can't promise those things. We can't guarantee those things. But just make sure that you're asking for references, Googling people, reading their reviews. Like, make sure that you're researching people, because immigration lawyers, or lawyers in general, are expensive. You're going to be forking over a lot of money, like thousands of dollars. You want to make sure that the person that you're giving these thousands of dollars to is worth it. Another mistake I see people make, sending bad pictures. So a lot of people, back in the day, pictures were worth a little bit more than they are now. But nowadays, immigration is not stupid. They can tell when you're just posing for pictures. I recently came across, I had a consultation with somebody recently whose green card application was denied because immigration didn't think that it was a real marriage. And one of the things that immigration cited as their reason was because they had like 100 pictures, and more than half of them were all in the same location, all staged, and they were just random. So immigration is not stupid. They know when this isn't a real marriage. They ask you certain questions. They're going to look up things like your social media activity, which, spoiler alert, even if your page is private, the government can still look you up, and they will. So after you file for things, be careful what you post online, because they are watching you. They will, I've seen people go on interviews and immigration is like, okay, cool. So do you have any other questions before we give you, about your green card or anything? And they're like, nope, we're good. And then the immigration officer is like, okay, so when were you going to tell me about your actual wife, based on the Facebook pictures that you're posting? So you don't want to lie. So that's another mistake. People lie on applications. A common lie that I see happen is people that are applying for a visitor's visa to come here, to come to the US, and they say that they're married and they have children back home, because they think that if they tell immigration that they have family back home, immigration is going to approve that visa, because, well, you're not going to leave your family back home to come to the US. You're definitely going to go back. And so they lie and say that they have family even though they don't. And then years later, they marry someone, they're doing a green card application. On the application where it asks you for marital status, they'll check never married, not thinking back to that visitor's visa application. And then they get to their green card interview and it's like, okay, so on this application, you said that you've never been married. But on that visitor's visa application that you filed like 30 years ago, you said that you were. So they're going to deny your green card application, and now you're going to need a waiver for fraud or misrepresentation. So never lie, always tell the truth. Even if it's horrible, I promise you, immigration officers have heard it all. And same with lawyers. If you're going to hire a lawyer, don't lie to us. We can always tell when our clients are lying to us. It's like this, like we have this extra sense. We can always tell when you're lying to us, and we can't help you if you lie to us. And I understand people lie for different reasons. Maybe it's they don't know, maybe they're ashamed of something, but I promise you, we're not judging. At least I'm not. I can't speak for other lawyers, but it's okay. Like, we're human, we make mistakes, it's fine, but we can't help you if you lie to us. So those are the main mistakes I guess people make in general, just lying on applications, lying at your interview. Speaking of, that's another mistake, people going to interviews without a lawyer. I have seen so many people, I've seen posts online, people don't want to go to an interview with a lawyer because they think that the immigration officer is going to think something's up, or they have something to hide because they have a lawyer. And I have no idea where this came from, but it couldn't be furthest from the truth. It's definitely worth it to have a lawyer with you at your interview, because we can kind of interject when the officer is asking questions that they shouldn't be asking or aren't allowed to ask. We can kind of, I don't want to say help steer the conversation, because we're not really, like, if you have a lawyer that's like overly participating, then that's kind of like a red flag. But having a lawyer involved in that process, period, is really great. Even if you think that you can do your application on your own, hire a lawyer to at least prep you for the interview. So for me, like for my clients, one thing that I do is I give them my immigration interview booklet, which is just a booklet that I compiled of like real questions that immigration officers have asked my clients over the years. It's like hundreds of questions. I give every single one of my clients this question, especially for my clients that are getting green cards through marriage. I give every single one of my clients this booklet. And the goal isn't for them to study all the questions and sound robotic at the interview. It's just for them to think about things that the officer is going to ask them that they never thought about. So the questions like, how many remote controls do you have in your house? Where do you keep the spare toilet paper in your house? Like questions like this that they're asking. What does your husband keep in his, like the third drawer to the right or something? Like they're asking you random questions about your relationship because they want to make sure that you're actually together. They're not going to ask you simple questions like, where did you meet? I mean, they are, but they're not just going to be surface. They're going to ask you questions like, how many cabinets do you have in your kitchen? Things like that. I remember one time I went on an interview with one of my clients, and the question that they asked was, what did your wife have for lunch yesterday and how did you pay for it? And I'm just thinking, I'm sitting in the interview like confused and just like, I don't know, because I'm like, if I were asked that question, like if I needed a green card and I was asked like, what did my husband have for lunch and how did he pay for it? I'm not getting that green card because I don't know. So just to know, like those are the types of questions. So you really need to be prepared. Immigration is not stupid. They look up everything. They look at your social media. They will literally look at everything. And you need to know how to answer these questions because some of them seem pretty like innocent. For example, one of the questions on the green card application, have you ever been a member of a group or society, club, organization, etc.? Most people are thinking like political party. Have you ever been part of like a communist party or something like that? Most people aren't thinking, I played soccer when I was in college, or I was a cheerleader, or I was a Girl Scout. But USCIS is actually like looking for things like that too. So they could very well, like if you say no to that question and then they're spying on your Facebook and you're talking about how you just won this volleyball tournament with your team, they can bring that up and say, you lied on this application. So you want to make sure that you really understand the questions. It's not just filling out forms, not anymore. There was a time when the green card application was 4 pages long. It's 20 now, and you want to know, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything right. Right now, we have the public charge rule. We have that form. We've always had the public charge rule, so I don't think that's going to go away. I think the way that the Trump administration interprets it, I think that might go away, fingers crossed, but the public charge rule by itself, I don't think will go away because it's been a part of our law for so long. But that form by itself, they're asking for a lot of information. Like my green card applications with public charge on average are like 250-ish pages. So you want to make sure that you're working with someone that knows what they're doing, can actually do it and do it neatly, do it well, do it right. Because when you're applying for an immigration benefit, that is your first impression to that officer. You want to make sure that you're giving a first good impression. Okay, enough of my ranting. Let me get back to your questions. Let's see. Hey, Lisa. I need to talk to Lisa at some point about stuff. I'd like to know if President Biden's immigration bill will favor asylum seekers who have a secondary hearing in view. I don't really understand your question, so if you could rephrase it, I might be able to answer it. Okay, I just answered that question. My wife applied for me 5 months ago. She has not received anything. Applied for you for a green card. So this depends on, where are you? Like, are you in the U.S.? Are you out of the U.S.? What category? Like, I can't really answer that question without knowing more. Let's see. Okay, I think I answered all the questions in the box. I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I don't remember what time I got on, and I know Instagram likes to kick people off after like an hour. So I don't know. But other than that, I didn't really have much else that I wanted to talk about. I just really wanted to talk about the immigration bill. Again, for people that maybe hopped on the live later, I'm Bianca Jordan. I am the founder and CEO of Brazen Legal, which is an immigration law firm in Massachusetts. It's my immigration law firm. I primarily help immigrants get legal status. I'm on a mission. I want to help at least 100 immigrants this year apply for green cards. So if you guys want me as your immigration lawyer, if you know anybody that needs an immigration lawyer, I'm your girl. Definitely, I'd be honored to play even the smallest role in your immigration journey. I've been handling immigration cases for the past 10 years. I've done marriage-based green cards, asylum green cards, special immigrant juvenile status green cards, VAWA green cards. Like, green cards are my jam. Like, I feel like I can do green cards in my sleep. I've also helped people apply for citizenship. I will save this live. How are you doing with the plants? Girl, I want more plants, but I can't admit this because I think my husband's listening to this live and I'm not trying to get divorced, but I need more plants. I want more plants. You can see some of them. So I keep them all and I'm giving them some light on this table. You can see like some of them. I'll give you like a little hint because my living room's a mess, but I have some plants like all over everywhere. So the plants are doing good. I am a plant mama. I have like almost 30 plants. I need more plants, but I love my husband and I'm not trying to get divorced because I want some plants. So, but yeah, my plants are good. I have a variety of different plants. It's tough now because like I'm in Massachusetts, it's cold. So some of them are like, I like one of them I lost leaves, but the plants are doing well. I have them in my highlights on this profile. So also, speaking of my profile, if you guys are just wondering like the different types of ways that you can get a green card, I have a free resource in my bio. If you click the link in my bio and scroll to where it says, I think it literally says free green card guide. It's literally a free guide. You can download it. It actually pops up immediately and it just walks you through the different ways that you can get a green card, like green cards through family, jobs, special programs, what have you. Let's see. I applied for asylum and my case was referred to the immigration judge. I would kindly like to know if the new bill on immigration will favor people like us. I'm not sure. Actually, I know they're trying to do something with asylum. But that I don't know. I think the asylum changes are just they're trying to make it more friendly. But usually, let's see. So the bill would eliminate the 1-year filing deadline for asylum. So right now, if you're applying for asylum, you have a year from when you enter the US to apply for asylum, unless you meet like a certain requirement. Like you're under 18 when you come in, or there's like a changed country condition. Like for example, maybe you came to the US and everything was fine in your home country, and then all of a sudden there's like a war, or like what's going on in Venezuela right now is happening, then that could be an exception to the 1-year filing deadline. Or let's say you came to the US and you immediately got sick, been in the hospital, not really caring about applying for asylum. That could be a reason. But your situation, I don't think so, because typically what ends up happening is you'll apply for asylum. If they don't think you have a case, then they're just going to send you to the immigration judge. Do we have to be lawyers? Do we have to be in the same state with lawyers? Not immigration. So as an immigration lawyer, I practice all over the US. I have clients all over the US. I have clients in Florida, Colorado, Texas, Miami, Canada, New York, New Jersey. I have clients everywhere. I have clients, I've had clients as far out as New Zealand, Italy, France. If you have a US immigration case, I'm your girl, I can help you. And I have an office, but I'm pretty much virtual, especially for COVID. So prior to getting my office, I got my office literally right before COVID started. I've been running my law firm almost 7 years, didn't have my own office. And then finally I decided to get my own office, and then COVID is like, yeah, no. So I have an office, but I'm back to being virtual. I've been virtual since 2014. And that was primarily because I wanted to increase access to legal services. I didn't want there to be like a wall or something, some type of barrier to keep people from getting legal services, especially Haitian Americans. I'm Haitian American, so I'm very passionate about helping Haitian immigrants, and I didn't want the fact that I'm here and Haitians are wherever to keep them from getting that access. Also, when I first started practicing law, a lot of my clients were victims of domestic violence, and that was very difficult for them to get information, to come meet with me and so forth. So I started sharing information, started sharing legal information on Instagram, because at the time there wasn't really like a search feature that kept like your search history. So you can kind of go on my page, look at my stuff, and then there wouldn't be any like digital fingerprint that you were trying to get information to help you get out of a bad situation. And then I kind of from there just expanded it to YouTube, and now I act a fool on TikTok and in my reels. So, which I love because I'm like such a hip hop head, and I think that being able to do these reels and TikToks gives you guys a little bit more of my quirky, nerdy personality with a hint of shenanigans and law. So that's pretty much what I'm all about. My mom keeps texting me. She's gonna like call me in 2 seconds because she's gonna be like, why aren't you answering my text messages? Haitian mothers, if you don't get back to them, probably like West Indian mothers in general, but like Haitian mothers, if you don't respond to them after a certain point, they will think you're dead. It's not like you're busy, you're sleeping, it's you're dead. So we'll see. My mom's gonna like text me a couple more times. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. You could bring some more in. Let's see. Now that Biden is in office, when do TPS get green cards? Whenever this bill passes. So hopefully, like, say all the prayers, light all of the candles. I'm gonna be praying to Black Jesus like extra hard over the next couple of weeks, because I need this bill to pass for a variety of reasons. I have clients who the only way they can get their green card is if they leave, but under this program, they'd be able to get it here. They wouldn't need like certain things, so they can get it here. So I personally am praying for this because there are so many people that I can help with this, that I can help get a green card without leaving the US. I never like to let my clients leave the US unless it's absolutely necessary. So the fact that this would be giving people a green card, and I'm assuming they'd get a green card here, fingers crossed. So we'll see. How much for a consultation? So I charge $150 for a 30-minute consultation. And what I do in the consultation, so typically you'll do like an intake sheet before, and I get to go through your whole immigration history just to make sure that everything's good. If you need a copy of your immigration file, I can get that for you. I can request that for you, and I can go through everything in your immigration history just to see if you have any issues that need to be addressed. So for example, if you have any convictions or anything that maybe you need a waiver for. I've had a couple people reaching out to me just preemptively, like booking consultations with me to prepare for whatever Biden is dropping, like to see if this goes through. So one thing that I've been telling my clients is just to start gathering your documentation. It's looking like my TV's doing things. It's looking like you'll be able to qualify if you've been here since at least January 1st, 2021. So start to gather evidence of that. And things could be simply like your tax returns. People that already have TPS and DACA, that alone could be proof that you've been here. The fact that clearly you've been here before January 1st, 2021 if you have DACA. So just things like that. Just start to gather evidence that you've been here, evidence that you're a good person. So like you can order like your criminal background check, and if you have no criminal record, it'll come back clean. And even if you do, like, might not be something major. What else you guys got? And yeah, my husband is on this live, so we're not going to talk about plants anymore. The fact that he hasn't left me yet is because, again, this whole table, like you guys can't see it, but this whole entire table is plants. And then I got plants over there. I got plants in other rooms. I got a plant right here. I got plants everywhere. So if someone came last week after January 1st. So as of right now, the bill is January 1st. So if you came last week, then you'd be SOL, unfortunately, unless they change that. more plants for you. I want more plants. There are a lot. I like literally have in my phone, I literally have a list of like my dream plants. And for Christmas, my husband bought me a lot of plants. So even though he'd be like on me about my plants, I think he secretly likes them, because otherwise, why would he be buying me a whole bunch of plants? Yes, for Valentine's Day, I think my husband should buy me plants. He's on here, so he sees the comments. So I think that I think he should buy me plants for Valentine's Day, and I'm gonna tell him Princess said so. But yeah, I have like 11 million plant babies, and I've always had plants. Like I have 2 plants here. The ones that are tallest, like this one right here, I've had for like 12 years, 13 years or something like that. So, yeah. Yeah, that's my boo thing. Me and my husband have been together since, I don't remember, but we met in 2007 and been married almost 3 years, been together 11. I don't know. He's not going anywhere. So maybe, I don't know. He's not going anywhere. So even if I buy 1 million plants, he'll still be here. But yeah. All right. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I think I answered all of the ones that I had in the box. Like I said, I really just wanted to come on and just talk about the Biden bill that I hope becomes a law. Like I'm praying, literally, like to everybody. Like I feel like I need to go and like lay hands on something. Like I feel like I need the strength of all the Haitian mothers, all the Haitian prayers to get this bill to pass, because there are so many people that can benefit from this. Immigrants are what makes America great. Like immigrants do so much good in this country. Like America would be dry AF without immigrants, like so much so. So like we need this bill. There are so many people. I have clients who've been waiting for green cards for like over 3 decades. I have people who've been waiting for green cards for longer than I've been alive. These people need status. Like immigrants do so much good in this country, and the least we can do is treat them like human beings and allow them to have legal status so they don't have to be in the shadows. So I'm hoping that this bill goes through. We have an actual good chance of having this happen. Democrats have the Senate. Democrats, I know, are going to mess something up at some point, because that's what Democrats do. But if they could just, you know, get it together and like get this to pass, like, so yeah. So I am hopeful that this passes. It would help a lot of people. So many people would be able to get legal status. Again, this isn't going to be something that's going to be easy. Because again, this is like over 11 million people that want status, and the Republicans are going to be like, I don't know. So hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully. But again, I'm Bianca Jordan. I'm an immigration lawyer. I love this shit, as you can tell. If you have any questions, feel free. You can DM me. It's fine. I'm probably not going to respond now because it's like 11 o'clock. I'm surprised Instagram hasn't kicked me off by now. But if you have any questions about this, I'll definitely save this live. If you have any questions about this bill, as I get more information about it, especially, you know, fingers crossed it passes, I will definitely do another video just to be like, it's a go, let's get your green cards. So I'll definitely keep you posted on whatever happens with this. I'll keep you posted on whatever happens with the Supreme Court case. Probably not going to hear anything about that until closer to June. If you're from Venezuela, or if you know someone who's from Venezuela, definitely share the information that they have a possibility to apply for DED, which protects them from deportation for 18 months and gives them a work card. And even though it's good for 18 months, it will probably go longer unless Biden like gives them TPS or something. But thank you guys for joining my live. I don't come on live often, mostly because I'm like, nobody wants to hear anything I gotta say. But yeah, but thank you guys for joining. If you have any questions, like I said, slide in the DMs, drop a comment in any of my posts. And if you have any questions, if you want me to hop on live again and talk about something else, I'm here. And maybe hopefully next time my husband won't be on, so we can talk about all the plants and all the babies that I love. But I will talk to you guys later. Bye.